Welcome to Bleav In 76ers with your hosts, former 76ers point guard Eric Snow and two Sixers fanatics in Marcus and Teja Dash. Bleav In 76ers is presented by BetOnline.AG.
BetOnline is your number one source for all your sports betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use promo code BLEAV for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Welcome to another episode of Bleav In 76ers. I am Teja Dash, not the usual host. That's usually my brother Marcus. But we got Eric Snow, point guard of the 76ers. How you doing, Eric?
I'm doing good, yourself?
Doing pretty good. Marcus is out with an illness. I don't know if he got it from Embiid or not, but I guess he's out. Some guys play with illnesses, some guys don't. It's maybe a generational thing. I don't know.
Yeah, some people, at least give it a shot, but it's different nowadays.
Yeah, it'd be nice for him to
say soft. Yeah, it's different.
Soft, yeah, that's a good word. Maybe come on.
I don't say soft. I wouldn't. I'm not putting words in anybody's mouth. I'm saying that's what most people would say. I don't want to say that. Yeah.
Some people say it. You didn't, but some people do. They can say it. Yeah. No, I got you. So let's jump right in.
I was sick, a couple weeks ago, and Mark was just like, "Oh, okay, let's just finish the show." Now all of a sudden he's sick. People are made.
That's a generational thing, though, maybe.
Yeah, no, there's people that was sick in my generation too. They wouldn't do anything. So
that's true. It's just a personality thing then. Speaking of sick. Embiid was out for the Pelicans game, sick. So maybe it's not a generational thing. So it was a rough game against the Pelicans. I know we don't like to overanalyze each game. Sometimes we do. But without him, we got absolutely dominated inside. Zion and Valanciunas went 19 of 21 from the field and out-rebounded our entire starting lineup. So without getting into specifics yet, what's your biggest takeaway from that game, that performance?
I think from that performance, we didn't perform like we were one of the best teams in the league. I think we were just going through the motions, to be honest with you. It didn't seem like it. How can I say it? Maybe not the first time this year, but I know it. We haven't had many games like this where I felt like we really didn't run and play. Like once it started, it was like, man, let's just get this game over with. Usually when Joel doesn't play, we still kind of have that jolt to prove things, and or maybe we just ran into a team that was, playing well and had an on night. That happens sometimes in the league, but I just couldn't really figure out like how we didn't meet their energy. I didn't think that was something that would happen. Like we didn't really, because I didn't really see New Orleans as an energy team. But I just thought that their energy was better. I don't really want to say effort, say more of the energy and the enthusiasm and playing. And then when you have that much dominance inside, that can do that. That could kind of cement things because it, makes the game easier for you.
I think Zion was 9 of 9 in the first half, and I remember telling Marcus actually, like, you can't make him miss once. You couldn't make him miss once. He's a very good player. He's supposed to be one of the best players. So yeah, I'm not saying we made a bum look great by any means. He's a good player, but dude, you can't make him.
That's the thing about it. Is like you already, just in our starting unit. They do have a matchup advantage with him offensively. Like we don't really have a guy in our starting lineup that can really give him trouble. I mean, Tobias is our four, but Tobias that's not an easy matchup for him.
No.
But on the other hand, I think he could give Zion issues. But that's not an easy matchup. I think it's an easier matchup when you probably have Joel behind you.
Mm-hmm.
But Zion, he's always shot a high percentage, so that's not a surprise. I mean, he's really efficient around the basket.
Definitely the wrong team to be missing Embiid for. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of those guys that you got to find a way to maybe double him. But it's tough because especially you have to make a decision because he's so efficient around the rim that he doesn't really take a lot of shots.
Yeah.
He doesn't really take a lot of shots. He don't get a lot of touches, even though he scores the ball. But I would say with his limited touches and his history of not playing a lot of minutes or conditioning wise, his history, I would double him.
Yeah.
I would give him a crowd every time you could. But I thought we spoke about the last show that who I think maybe I brought it up like who was going to guard him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I felt that was a matchup coming in. Like we're not really built to defend a guy like that at that position.
Yeah, you mentioned Zion as a guy that was going to probably give us a lot of trouble that night. And it's interesting too because they just got back McCollum, and usually when a team gets back a guy who's got such a high usage rate like McCollum from injury, they kind of have a little of a rough patch trying to get him back into the flow of the offense, and they're trying to especially with a guy with that much usage, they didn't seem to miss a beat at all. It seemed like he's been playing all season at that point. So.
Yeah, I mean, you just never know. I think, and I know CJ personally, but I believe that I know him that he wouldn't, the CJ that I know wouldn't just jump back in and not put a lot of time into playing. I know he went down to the G League, and I don't know if he played, but I'm just saying they practice way more in the G League. So I know he was playing basketball and getting some work in before he came back in. I think that the way they used him, I didn't feel like it was rushed, and they piled on him. We'll see how it goes in the future, but I just think that it was a good balance.
Do you also think, because I mean, I bet on the game, maybe too early. I was blindsided by the Embiid out news of like,
I mean, the NBA so hard, like. I've, started to do my little $2 bets and stuff like that. We talked about that, but the NFL or college football but the NBA is so hard because you just never know when the guys are going to play.
That was crazy. Like, it was like right before the game started. I was like, they didn't know he was sick all day. They didn't know he was like, he wasn't. Come on now, that was so weird.
You got to take it like right up to the. And you can't take it like right up to the tip because they cut it off. You know what I'm saying? Like, There's so many guys that just you don't see anything, but they just out.
But the fact that like really I just didn't know it. Like at least talk about him being like, oh, he's questionable with an illness leading up to it. But like it was like from playing, not one word, and then all of a sudden he was out. I was blindsided by it. We were actually talking during the game. I was like, man. Our energy levels, we're so off. I don't know if Embiid would have really helped that game enough to win.
Yeah, we probably could have. I could see us losing that game even if he played.
Yeah, I think we would have lost.
I picked them to lose anyway. Like I didn't think they could win that game.
They were just on. They were on. It was a terrible. Like you said, there was no real offense. I felt like we went into it going. Hopefully, we just get hot. It's one of those games where our guys just can't miss, and we hit it till we win. I think my biggest takeaway, and I don't know, maybe this came from the blindsided news. Marcus Morris at center against a big bruiser like Valanciunas. I didn't love that personally. It's not Morris's fault by any means. I just don't think that's the right matchup. I mean,
that's not the first time we've done that. Like I'm trying to figure out why we do that.
Yeah,
I haven't figured that out.
Do you think that's more indicative of how we feel about, or how the lack of confidence we have in a legitimate backup big? Like that's what Bamba was supposed to be, and I guess Paul Reed backup.
I guess you have to look at it that way. I mean, those guys don't fill in. I mean, sometimes you take that third big, and you have to decide, okay, do I just start him and play him a couple minutes and then keep your backup in his same role and just extend his minutes? Or do I put the number 2 guy in the number 1 spot and just play him minutes and play the number 3 in the number 2 minutes and then decrease those minutes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's usually how it's done. But in this particular situation, we're taking a guy that's already in the rotation and changing his position.
Yeah.
I still, I mean, I would love to hear Nurse kind of
explain
speak
that
directly on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like what is, and I know he won't do it. There's really no need for him to do it. I'm just saying, like, if I had a one-on-one with him, I would like ask him, like, what is your thinking on that? Like, why do you do that? And I know it's limited minutes, but I still don't understand why. And because if you're playing him limited positions at limited minutes at that position, that would be more of a reason why you would play somebody else if it's limited minutes at that position.
Yeah, yeah. I could see keeping Paul Reed in his spot, like you said, to not upset that, but then start Bamba. But like you obviously don't feel that. I mean, you don't think that highly of Bamba. That's what I took away from it. If they're going to start,
I mean, that's what I'm saying. You don't feel highly about him is what it's saying. But at the same time, we haven't seen him do it. Maybe they see more, obviously, in practice. But I would like to at least see how that looks when
before we move on and try to maybe get another backup big first, right?
Yeah, I would like to see, because, knock on wood, you don't want anything to happen. But what if, he loses consecutive games? Like, is this how we're going to do it? Like, what is going to be the plan?
Tonight, for instance, if he doesn't play, what are they going to put? They can put Marcus Morris on Horford down low? I mean,
Horford you got a better chance with Horford than you do the other guys. Because because Al does spend a lot of time on the perimeter.
That's true.
Even though he can be effective on the block, but the way they play, they will spot him up a lot.
Yeah. So that's my biggest takeaway. That and turnovers. Our starters had 3 more turnovers than they had rebounds, which I thought was incredible. And I'm glad Maxey got his 33. And I know a lot of people kind of put it on him that he didn't get more assists. He only had 3. But watching the game, it wasn't because he wasn't getting guys involved. We just weren't hitting open shots. So I'm not going to knock him for not playmaking, getting shots for people. They just couldn't make them. We were just ice cold and we were just careless. It was a bad game.
You can't knock him. You can't knock the guys for missing when he didn't get assists, and then give him credit when he does get assists.
Oh, you mean just give the other guys credit when he gets the assist too? Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It goes both. You can't go one way. You know what I'm saying? Like, it can't be one-sided. So when he getting assists, you got to give the guys credit for making the shots too.
Absolutely.
For him not getting assists.
And we have been for the most part. Melton's been outstanding from 3 this year. A lot of the guys have been hitting the open shots. It was just a bad game. It was the first one.
Some of that you also got to understand. Some of that comes with Joel not playing too, because guys may get open shots, but guys may get open layups too.
Yeah,
when Joel isn't playing.
Yeah,
and then you still got Maxey, but it's different when he's getting all the attention versus the second most attention.
Scoring wise, played pretty good. He's pretty efficient.
But that's why you usually, with a game like that, you get points. He's talented, but to get points and assists, that's different.
That's tough. Yeah. Speaking of one of the other cast members, Tobias Harris going to be our second topic here. I don't want to. There's been a lot of heat he's taken recently, but is it me, or just does it seem like no matter who we're missing, Harris kind of has the same carbon footprint on the basketball game? Do you think that, or do you see an uptick on what he does when we're missing guys? I can give you some stats first if you want to hear my stats. You want to hear some stats?
I would say that I'm trying to figure out like how to say it.
Without being mean.
I don't think it's a No. I'm just saying so you can understand what I'm saying. Like,
okay.
I'm trying to be constructive.
Yeah.
He is consistent in what he does, from a standpoint of being who he is.
Okay.
I don't know if he really looks at it from a standpoint of Joel is out, I'm going to work. I think it may be consistent, staying within who he is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think he looks at it and says, you know what, Joel's out, I'm getting 25 touches, 25 shots. Like, I don't know if he approaches it that way right now. It's just Joel's out. Okay, I'm gonna do what I do. Joel's playing. I'm gonna do what I do. But it's not like, and I think he probably need to be more aggressive and overly aggressive in those instances where he doesn't play. Some of that can be on him. Some of that could be on coaching and placement. Some of it can be on your lead guard. But I think that's something that needs to be addressed with his shot attempts when Joel doesn't play. He can't sit at 10 shots and you're shooting 50% from the field.
Yeah. You're so right, though. He does what he does, and then looking at the stats, I was deep diving it earlier. It's like he does the same exact thing, but then he takes like a 10-15% uptick in usage. He doesn't go beyond. He only takes a little bit of what Embiid's left over or what Maxey leaves over when he doesn't play, but he doesn't say like, okay, I'm getting mine tonight. Like, you need me, lean on me tonight. He doesn't do that. Like, so last season, 60 games with Embiid, he averaged 14 and 5.5. So I'll round up 14 and 6 on 11 attempts per game, shooting 50%. The 14 games without Embiid, 19 and 7 off 15 attempts per game.
Yes.
So he just added.
That was with James. So now James isn't there. Like, you should be getting 20 plus shots in a game like that.
The 56 games last year with Maxey, Harris had 13 and a half and 5.6 off 10 attempts. Without Maxey, 18 and 6 off 13 attempts. So again, he only added like 2 to 3 attempts when someone who shoots about 15 times a game's out. So like, it's like he's getting the same uptick in attempts as like Batum is. Like, or Beverly, like 2 more shots a game. Like
somebody else would get, yes.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. I was trying to be constructive with it because I don't think it's necessarily criticism. I think it's just who he is.
Yeah.
He just like, I don't know if it has to be. Well, I do know, and it's my opinion. I think most of if Tobias takes a high jump in attempts, you have to call plays for him in order for that to happen. And I don't think the coaches are doing that. I don't think Doc did it. I don't think Nurse is going to do it. But I think in order for him to get to 20, 25 attempts in the game, you have to specifically go to him for that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. And then Ben Dietrich, a online Sixer guy, he had some interesting things to say about him as well. So his was more on off the court, on the court, when they're healthy, but just like rotationally. Sixers are plus 4.9 with Harris on the court. They're plus 16.3 with him sitting. And he went on to say it's his worst season shooting from 3. It's his worst season assist to turnover ratio. It's his worst rebounding rate, and his steals, blocks, and deflections are abysmal. Now, do you think before we didn't have this luxury, so we never even talked about playing him less or sitting him, But this year we have so much redundancy and a lot of guys who do the same thing with Rocco, Morris, Batum. We have a lot of guys who kind of sit in that range. Do you think he should maybe be playing a little less or not be playing as much?
Less, I would probably lean towards no.
Okay.
I would say find a way to maximize his minutes when he does play. Maybe playing less with a guy. You know what I'm saying? Maybe less with Joel or less with Maxey. Having some of his minutes when one of those, having him play all the minutes when one of those two are off the court. And then maximizing him while he's in there. Where he needs to be more of a give him the ball guy. We keep saying it for years, like it's year after year. If you want him to be that guy, and we put all these expectations on him, then we got to give him the ball. He's not a guy that's just going to go get it if plays aren't called. If plays aren't, you have to specifically go to him. And finding out the best way to do that. I don't know what that is. I just gave a couple suggestions.
Yeah. No,
I'm not in that locker room and in that office to be able to figure that out.
It's interesting because it's like when you see him score, you're like, you can do that more. You might not make all those shots, but I want to see you try it. Just attempt more of those. Do exactly what you do, but add about 25%.
That's what leads me to think that he's a play call guy. And if you have a free-flowing system that isn't specific to just calling plays for guys, and we made that a point not to do that with Joel, it's not going to happen. But that's what he needs in order for him to do what we kind of know he's capable of doing. Yeah. And for him to get, because I think otherwise it's going to almost come off like he's forcing shots or he's breaking the system, playing out of the system, or out of flow if he just gets the ball and just goes and scores. It's not his personality, and it's not necessarily going to look good. So it has to come from the team and it has to come from the coach to specifically put him in positions to shoot. You have to get 20 shots a game.
Yeah.
This is how we're going to help you do it.
Yeah.
For a guy that's flirting around 50% and with his size, I don't know how that's a problem.
I know. That's what I always say. I mean, he looks good. He goes through spurts where he looks good. And I make jokes during games to Marcus. I'm like, he'll have like 5 straight points. I'm like, great. We won't see him score to like the late third quarter now. And like you won't see him like a quarter or two. And he's out there. And it's like, dude, we need you now. And like in his head, he's got to be like, man, we got Batum jacking him up. We got this guy jacking him up. Like, I have like the same amount of shots as Melton does right now. Like, come on, get him up, man. Like, I'm okay with you missing him. Like, I don't know, man. He's just naturally a passive guy. He's just a passive player. I guess it's something when people say, can you get that out of a player? Can you make them less passive? Maybe sometimes you can, sometimes you just can't.
Man, I think like I said, I think you can, but you have to design stuff for it to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at a guy like Vince Carter was considered a passive guy, but he didn't have no shortage of plays, and I don't necessarily how you can say that the way he used to dunk on people, but but he also was given the ball and said, "Go play." And I know a lot of the older guys that play with him kind of like, "We got you. Go do it, man. We cool. We'll do it. We'll do all this other stuff. We'll set screens. We'll get rebound. We'll do a lot of things you need in order for you to do you." I mean, I really think Tobias needs some of that. I think he needs the encouragement to go have a little a-hole in you and go take it. Go get it. Stop worrying about what everybody says. So that comes with encouragement from within.
It kind of, you know what else it reminds me of? Not their play style or anything, but just the whole like, I know how good you are. Why don't you dominate more often? AD. Whenever I watch when I watch Laker games, sometimes I don't see him touch the ball for like 5 or 6 minutes at a time, or take like one shot, 2 shots in a quarter, and I'm like, dude, I know, and I know you could dominate the guy you're against. Like, why aren't you just like, give me the ball and taking off for 5 or 6 minutes straight? It's, but again, I'm sure there's a lot of that in the league.
Yeah, I mean, you can find a guy or two on most teams in the league that's sort of like that. But the difference is, guys like you start digging into his pocket and talking about how much money he make and what he should be doing, and that's where things change. The expectations change.
But doesn't that make it higher expectations when people expect you to do more with the money you're making, though? Don't you say like, okay, well, I've earned, literally.
But sometimes when people get paid, they get paid to do what they do. So you get paid, you pay people, and then you expect more. Then
that's just not in his DNA.
You're just paying him not to regress, not to get worse. That's what you're hoping.
Yeah, just be really efficient with what you get. I mean, with Maxey and Embiid, it's like you just need. You got Melton doing his thing at 3 and 4. You just need really good 3 and D players, pretty much. At that point, that's kind of what we need him to be. But when guys are out, we also need to be more, and it's hard because he just doesn't, grab that bite. But we'll see. This year's fluid with who can come and who can go and trade. So I don't know what's going to happen. So tonight's our last game for a little while because of the in-season tournament quarterfinal starting up. Before we get to that game prediction real fast, now this is the whole tournament for the whole league's wrapping up. We're going to the smaller groups. How'd you feel about it?
I like it.
You like it? Yeah, it's got mixed reviews.
I think each year it'll improve. I mean, I think that guys kind of have a better understanding of it. If the league, ask questions and listen to people and try to make it better, however they can. Hope they can listen to each other, players, league, fans, whatever, and keep making it better. But I like it. I mean, I like the fact the way it's set up, and I do feel that the semifinals, the quarterfinals, home games, and then the semifinals and finals in a neutral site. Me being in Vegas is great.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting. I mean, it's you're looking at basically a 1-game playoff in Phoenix and the Lakers, and that's
fun.
No matter how guys look at it, guys, like I say, someone was saying, well, it won't be a big deal to the team that made it. I said, well, it'll be a big thing to the team that didn't win.
Yeah.
It will be held against you.
Yes, I know.
It will be held against you if you play in those games, and you don't show up, because it's 1 game and out. So it does kind of like put a little more emphasis on you're the only team playing. You're playing for something. You are playing for something. So it puts great deal of expectation, the more meaningful games in play. So I enjoy it. I enjoy watching it. I mean, it's they kind of had a little earlier in the season than I thought initially.
Okay.
But I like it.
How did you feel about some of the players saying that the whole running up the score aspect is taking away from like the respect of the sanctity and respect of the game?
Well, you can control that.
Yeah, don't get blown out, right?
Yeah, I mean that's
what I always say.
You can't control that. So I mean, I played for a guy, George Karl, who didn't believe in slowing down if you're winning by a lot. Didn't believe in it at all. Like, why should we slow down because we're winning by a lot? Don't lose by a lot then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
if you're down by 20, you don't want to lose by 30. Don't go down by 20.
Yeah, teams can control that. So and that's a tough one because that's something like an unwritten rule in the league, where you don't kind of like keep showing teams up. But in this particular, yes, guys and teams are going to have to learn in the in-season tournament. That's the thing. They've established it. They've established it from the beginning that this is a thing. You can no longer take it personal because they've established that this is a thing.
You see,
and it's necessary, and that's how teams are judged.
I think my one criticism might be, and I don't know how they're going to fix this, to counter that, and I think part of the problem is that they're going back and forth, and they're getting a little confused. Like, one game, it's a normal game. The next night, it's a tournament game. So they go back and forth between thinking, not good to run up the score, okay to run up the score, not good. And that's why the coach, I forgot who it was against Boston, he had a problem with it. He was like, "Yo, dude, what the hell are you doing? Why are you guys trying to score 40 points? We got."
Well, I mean, that's not on the league. That's not on the league. That's on them not understanding the rules. They put a separate court out there so you know when you're playing in that game.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're confused on what game it is, just look at the court.
Yeah,
it'll tell you. But you can't tell me that these guys are professionals and they're coaches, and now all of a sudden they didn't know the rules. So if you didn't know the rules, that means you didn't look.
A lot of guys are saying in the beginning they had no idea. They were like, I don't even know what the hell this is.
That's on them. That's on them and their teams and their coaches and their players for not understanding the rules.
Yeah.
But you can't get mad if you don't understand the rules.
Embiid knew them early. He was jacking up threes at the end of the game.
What I'm saying. Yes. So if teams didn't know, then you get mad because you didn't know the rules. So get mad at the league for putting that rule in. But right now it's in.
Now, one way they could do it is by bulking the whole tournament together into one, like 2 or 3 week period, maybe at the beginning of the season or something, instead of going back and forth. You don't mind the back and forth?
I don't mind the back and forth at all. No, I don't mind the back and forth. They made it very clear. It's on Tuesdays and Fridays.
Yeah.
And primarily Tuesdays and Fridays because those are TNT and ESPN days.
Yeah. Dude, I watched that Kings and Warriors game. That was a fantastic game.
So
that game felt like a playoff game, man.
Yeah, so you can put it on national TV. And they had to win. Golden State had to win by 12. Yep. They knew how many points they needed. They interviewed Fox after the game, and he was like, yeah, they let us know. Like, we were aware that, we couldn't lose by more than 12.
Yep.
Yeah, that changes things. That makes the game more exciting.
When teams are competing really for
not only to win, but to win by a certain amount.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe if Sacramento didn't have to win by a certain amount, they wouldn't have made the comeback.
If it was just a win or loss?
If it was just a regular game, they would not have came back.
Because they were pretty much covering a spread is what they were doing.
Yes.
Yeah, they were like, we need to lose by less than 12. So that's it. That's our number. Yeah. That was a great game. I was like, man, this is like a playoff game. It's incredible. And those two teams just match up so well. It's really fun matchup with those two in particular. But so on to our game now. So we're facing the Celtics for the third time this season already. Season's tied at 1-1. Big game at Boston. Line's currently at 6.5 with Embiid questionable with an illness. We do not know if he's going to play or not. I'd say, who do you got? Who do you think is going to have a big game? Let's go with Embiid, without Embiid to make it easier.
I think it's the same both. Until we can consistently beat Boston, like, I don't know what it is, but I never feel good when we play them. I don't. It's a Friday night. We're coming from New Orleans on the road.
Yeah.
They're sitting at home. I already personally know that's a tough place to play. I think we lose. I don't feel a blowout. in either instances of Joel playing or not. But I don't think we win. I don't think we cover either one either.
With or without him.
With or without him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we lose by that either way. I unfortunately. It's like Marcus. We need Marcus to be the homer on this show because you and I are a little more.
I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't feel it.
Me too. Me too. I was going to bet on it earlier. I was even going to buy points for us and maybe take us like +10, but I'm like, man, it's tough. The last game I saw was that Pelicans game. And if we play that way against Boston will eat us alive.
Yeah, like 10, I may take those extra 4 points, whatever, but I don't know.
So let me ask you a question. Would you rather take Philly Philly +10, or would you rather take Boston just winning straight up? What do you think is more likely to happen?
Which one's more money?
Let's
the +10.
That's a good question. They're probably pretty close on that regard. They're probably around the same. If they're the same, what would you rather have?
+10.
+10?
If it's more money, if it's not, then it's money line Boston.
So it's -265 for Boston just winning, and us +10 is -200. So it's more money for +10.
Yeah.
So +12 would be pretty similar to the Boston money line.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, either way, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to have a good time betting on it. Some aspects of it, I'm taking some props, some player props, so we'll have some fun either way. But that pretty much does it. We will see each other next week, and I think our next game after that is against the Wizards, which, hey, for not making the quarterfinal, semifinal tournament, getting the Wizards in your regular season schedule, not bad.
Yeah, I think we got it. Wizards and Atlanta.
Yeah, I believe so.
At Washington and Atlanta at home was the 2 games, so hopefully that
not bad. Not bad. Yeah, we hopefully get 2 wins out of it after not making the tournament and some extra rest for an ailing, sick Embiid. So, all right, Eric. Well, hopefully Marcus will be back. So it'll be the trio again next week, and enjoy the game in the weekend.
All right, you two take it easy.
All right.